Alrighty, folks. How we all doing here? Let me just get this out of the way. Slide on over here. All right. What's happening, everyone? Hope you've been enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend as well as this great marathon we've got going on here. I am back. I am Vonnie Vaughn. I'm going to be running 2 games for you back to back here. Puppy Cam is activated, yes. I figured the power of Puppy will take us through these next 2 runs. So I'm going to be running, kind of keeping on the top-down action RPG theme. We are going to be running Neutopia here. We're doing the 100% category. And yeah, time for some well-curated Neutopia. That is right. I tell you what, let's go ahead and get started now. We have a donation actually to read off. Just came in from Steel Eyes, donated $50 to name the hero in Dragon Quest VIII, Steel Eyes. And with a comment here that says, make it an even 100. So thank you very much for that donation. Greatly appreciated. What is this? All right, so what we've got going on here is that the evil wizard Dirth has stolen the Princess Aurora from the main temple here in the land of Neutopia, and our hero Jazeta is set with the task of going out and rescuing her. But in order to do that, he must collect the 8 medallions of legend to return them to the temple, so that way the seal to Dirth's evil lair on the North Pole can be broken. And when that happens, Jazeta can come face to face with Dirth, confront him directly, defeat him, rescue the princess, and everyone will be happy. So, first thing we do here is we pick up some bombs, which are very nice to have, as well as the medicine, which is also nicer to have, especially in certain spots, coming up in a dungeon we'll be doing a little later on. But for now, we are headed to pick up a couple of items and power-ups before we make our way into the first dungeon. The one we'll pick up on the next screen here is incredibly important. Gotta just kill that guy, push this rock, walk into these stairs, talk to this guy who may or may not be related to Bonk. This is a TurboGrafx 16 game after all. But now we have the Fire Wand. This is a item we will be using heavily throughout the entire run. It very likely inspired the Fire Rod in Z3 that you were just watching. And off we go. Coming up here in a couple screens, we're going to demonstrate some static enemy movement that allows us to walk in a very particular pattern and avoid any damage, which is nice. Make a little delay there to get by those flies. Let's see how nice the lizard men feel like being here. I just want them to get out of my way. Perfect. Good. All 3 of them are going to be on that screen when I come back, which isn't necessarily ideal, but maybe they'll get out of the way on my way back. I have never... Yeah, that's right, Sheva. This game just seemed cool. I figured I'd just pick it up and play it for you here. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to kill this. He's just going to get in my way. Not worth it to take the damage from him. I do want to preserve as much life as possible because the output of the Fire Wand is dependent on your current life total. So, and as logic would dictate, the higher your life total, the better the output is. And the stage of fire will decrease if my life gets below 4 red segments there. So I am liable to take damage in this next dungeon, which I'll be entering now. So we want to preserve as much life as possible to give us that buffer. There we go. Okay. Gotta kill them, push that block. Old men tied up in dungeons are going to be a theme throughout this run. The ones that don't actually give you anything, you can just skip what they have to say. But if they have a gift for you, then unfortunately you gotta sit there and listen to them blab on in Japanese, so I can't even understand what they're saying. I mean, I can read it a little bit, especially the stuff in kana, but that's okay. Yes, we will get to the good fire a little later on. We need 12 segments of life for the good fire. We're not quite there yet. I didn't mean to. Yeah, I would rather not fight these guys just because it takes time. They can drop bombs, which I need, but there's going to be better places to source bombs elsewhere in the dungeon. Cool. All right. So we're good. Alrighty. So for those of you that might just be joining us, this is our 5th annual Feed the Kids Marathon here on RGLtv. We are raising money for Random Acts, which is specifically going to go towards fighting against childhood hunger in this country, which is far too prevalent an issue. And we're all doing our part. Us here at RGLtv, and then you all, of course, as well, the donators, to help take a little relief on that issue, if we can. We've already raised close to $1,400 so far, which is fantastic. But we still got the rest of today and all of tomorrow. Wow, look at the bombs. To continue to bring that total up. We definitely have donation incentives that you could put your money toward if you would like for it to be something specific. Our big goal is to get to 3,000 by the end of by the final run of the marathon, and that is going to upgrade what's going to be a 46 Robot Master run to a just Mega Man 1 through 6 relay. Alright, so here's our first boss of the game. We walk straight up in the right side of the room so that we can hit the pieces that break away, and then strike directly at the core and do it in 2 cycles, which is ideal. Alright, that's medallion number 1. Actually, it's medallion number 2, but it's our first medallion. That was essentially dungeon 2, but we do that one first because we get the fire rod as well as the sword upgrade on the way to and in that dungeon, respectively. We're going to pop in here to pick up this item, which is called the Book of Revival. This is necessary if you want to get passwords, or if you were fancy enough back in the day to have the expansion on your TurboGrafx-16. It would allow you to access what was referred to as the file cabinet, which was essentially it was essentially a memory card. So now we're going to head over to dungeon number 1. And once we collect both medallions here in this land, which is referred to as a sphere, we'll have access to the next sphere. And there's 4 spheres in total. Each one has 2 dungeons. So that's how we get to the 8 medallions. So it makes the game somewhat linear in that regard, with each successive sphere having more difficult enemies to deal with. Speaking of difficult enemies to deal with, these next 2 rooms can be a real pain when it comes to the speed run, because these bats don't have static movement and they can move in a very erratic fashion. Which means that, like this, he can move all the way to the opposite side of where I want him to be. This room can waste a lot of time on the front end of runs. I have a split specifically for it because of its variance. Neutopia. Yeah, this one doesn't have an ice world. It does have RG lava, which will be, which we'll see actually shortly after I'm done with this dungeon. Plenty of RG lava. Get your lava chans in chat if you have them. Ooh, excellent pattern from these earwigs here. Come on. Ah, I'll take that extra bomb. Sure, why not? I'm going to push this guy against the wall. And just hit him with 4 bombs, and then we're done. Perfect. Into a Neutopia. Alrighty, so that is both medallions cleared out of the land sphere. We will now enter the subterranean sphere. And this is where we will get all of our RG lava. That's just a taste. Oh, here's more. Oh, don't... Okay, good. Alright, so, with the fire rod now that I have 8 full segments of life... Oh, excuse me. You'll notice that the fire that I was throwing out was kind of like these rolling columns. That's the next stage of the fire. So this is good. It does more damage than the stage before it, that's for certain. But it does move pretty slowly, so it can be a bit tricky to control. Just gonna pick up this potion here for a little safety. We can have 2 of these. Can I cut your chains? No. I do not have time for that. This is a speed run. It's not rescue all prisoners %. Now, that's actually a good opportunity to talk about this category, which is 100%, meaning that I will be collecting all permanent items, all individual upgrades for both my for my shield, my sword, and my armor. I'll be collecting all of the bomb capacity upgrades, and I'll be collecting almost all of the life capacity upgrades. You naturally get one every time you complete a dungeon, but there are also 4 individual ones that you can go and get. We got one already before we even went into our first dungeon. And then I'll get 2 more along the way. The reason why we don't collect all 4 is because with completing all of the crypts, and getting 3 of the, you know, optional life upgrades, that gets you to the highest life you can possibly get. So getting the 4th one doesn't actually give you anything. So the community has decided that it is unnecessary for the 100% category. You just need to get 3 of which of those 3 you get is entirely up to you. However, the one that's in Crypt 7 is incredibly out of the way to get to, and that's the one that we typically skip. Alrighty, so there's a couple things that I want to see from enemies drop-wise. That's one of them, the magic ring. We're not going to be using that for a little while, but once we do, we will use it to great effect to make a couple of particular rooms much, much easier and faster to deal with. So we love seeing the rings. Well, what I also love to see at some point in this crypt is a bomb drop. Just to make sure that I've got everything that I need for getting through this crypt. These, like, kind of mantis soldiers can drop them, but they don't. That's okay. Oh, yes. That was not a potion that we picked up there in that dark area. That was an incredibly important item called the Rainbow Drop. I was remiss in discussing it, which I normally do. But I will show you what it's all about shortly, actually. Couple rooms from now, I'll be using it. What it does is it allows you to walk over gaps that are 1 tile wide, you know, whether they be, you know, lava or a pit or, you know, whatever. So you'll see me use it right there, and I'll even, you know, just for good measure, I'll use it right there. It's this nice little rainbowy bridge like that. You can see it. Oh, there we go. Hourglass freezes all enemies for a good amount of time. Ah, there's my bomb drop. Love to see it. Okay. All right, now coming up here is one of my least favorite rooms, if not my least favorite room in the run. And it's because it has these ghost enemies in it. The ghost enemies are really a pain for a couple reasons. First of all, they only take damage from your sword. The fire wand does nothing to them. And the second thing is that they can just kind of randomly disappear, and while they've disappeared, you can't do any damage to them. What makes it even worse is that if a ghost has disappeared and you grab an hourglass, they will remain in that disappeared state until the hourglass wears off, which is about like 20 seconds or so. So if it's in a room where you need to kill them in order to progress, like to open a door, push a block, maybe both, you just have to wait. And as I'm sure you can imagine, at the you know, at the top level of speedrunning this game, having that happen to you is essentially a run killer, as far as, you know, a PB attempt goes. So, and what's particularly horrible about this room is that the ghosts just hang out all around the edges of the room, which, if you're trying to hit them from either above or beneath them, makes it even more difficult. Even to the side, it can be a pain because they can kind of like float over your sword. So, all right, we specifically hit these guys with the sword because they take more damage from it than our fire. Speaking of hitting things with our sword, here is the boss of this dungeon. We'll just do this. Whoops. Not a big deal. There we go. So that's a boss we affectionately refer to as Stunlock Earwig, where you basically just bounce all of its segments along the back of the wall, and it takes easy damage. Only its tail segment takes damage. If it gets loose and starts like running around the room, it can actually be a kind of a pain to deal with. But because we can kind of just walk straight in and just pin him against the wall, it makes fighting him incredibly easy, or a lot easier than it would be otherwise. So, all right. So that's one done. Whoops. Okay, here we go. We're going to make a little detour down here. Don't know if I had those, but now I do. Walk into this staircase, talk to this bonk cousin here. And he's going to give us a bomb capacity upgrade. Our maximum, before I talked to him, was only 8. Now it is 12. He also refills our current bomb holding, which is very convenient. Because we're going to use quite a bit of bombs in the latter part of the game. And especially this dungeon coming up here. I think we used 5 or 6 in this level alone just to get through it. So, in fact, we start right here on this wall. Oops, I did it too far away. Oh, there we go. Donkey Kong. Nice. All right, so we had to listen to what this guy said because he gives us our first shield upgrade. As far as upgrades to sword, shield, and armor, there are 3 of each. So we already have... we have 1 sword upgrade, we have 1 shield upgrade, and we've already gotten 2 armor upgrades, actually. There's a hole in the middle of that ground where these creamsicle ghosts will just continue to pop out until I think there's like 10 or 12 of them on the screen. Like, they can really... I mean, they're just all over the place. Now, you might be wondering, as you see me going through all of these rooms in the absolute dark, like, whoa, how do you deal with this normally? And the way you deal with it is by using an item called the Moonbeam Moss, which we've already obtained, but we'll only be using in one particular room. Once you play this game enough, knowing how to navigate the dark rooms becomes pretty automatic, so we don't waste time menuing to that Moonbeam Moss in order to use it. See, that ghost just completely absorbed the fire that was meant for that little blob, but the ghost decided to get in the way. There we go. Okay. Now it's time for the Dagger Twins. Just pin this guy against the wall. This positions us perfectly for the second one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's all we need. Okay. And there we go. That's the second medallion out of the subterranean sphere. So now we can move on to the next one, which will appear right here. Now we're into the sea sphere. This is where the run really, really starts to get interesting. There's going to be a few items and phenomena that will happen in here that will that make this run that really add an element of depth to the speed run. So that was a life upgrade. That's the second of 3 that we need to pick up for the 100% category. We're gonna pop on over here, and we've got Donkey Kong here. I kind of like that. Donkey Kong is going to give us our second bomb upgrade. Now we can hold 16. And then we're picking up the next item we pick up here is actually a necessary item, even if you're playing the game casually. But for the speed run, even in any percent, this item is incredibly useful. What? Hello? Get out of there. No! No! Thank you. Okay, good. Alright. That little water dragon did not cooperate, but that's okay. Alright. Alrighty. We have now the Falcon Shoes. These are not only required to walk into the next dungeon that we're going to get to, but as you can see, it basically like doubles my movement speed. This is going to be incredibly useful for the enemies and tricks and traps that we've got to deal with for the rest of the run, because it allows us to navigate through them more easily. Jeez. This is a lot of damage to have already taken before we get into this crypt. So we're actually going to do something fun here. Whoops. Oh, shoot. I didn't do that right. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, so what I did there was I talked to that lady. She gave me the password, and then I quit the game and essentially restarted it with that password already in place. And not only is that now a checkpoint in case I happen to like die in here, which is very unlikely, but what it really did is on reset, it refilled my health. This is going to be really useful for making sure that I keep this level of fire longer, because I had already taken like 2.5 segments of damage, which is a lot to have already done coming into this crypt, because I'm going to be taking plenty of damage in here, because I think this is by far the trickiest and most difficult dungeon in the speedrun to do properly, especially. Okay, that room didn't go too badly. Picking up the key. Oh, I didn't mention this. Every single crypt has one key in it that you need to get before you can open the door to the room where the boss is. So we get our key for this crypt pretty much on the front end. Okay. Now, in a couple of rooms here, I'm going to demonstrate the power of that magic ring that I picked up, like, I don't know, about 10-15 minutes ago. Hello? There we go. Away. Ouch. Okay. So, these wizard enemies, there's 4 of them in here. That's very terrifying. Now they're gone, and they're replaced by slugs. But we want those. We want what we like to refer to as slug homies. Those are the ones that will drop additional rings for us to use later in the crypt, which we will want to do. There's another room where you have to deal with another of those 4 wizard enemies, and the layout of that room is not open like it is in that one, and it is incredibly difficult to get through that without wasting a ton of life. So we use the ring to transmogrify them into the slugs, and also give us an opportunity to pick up more rings. And I'm actually going to want to get another one. You can only hold one at a time, unfortunately. But I'm going to want to get yet another one to use in a crypt later on. All right. Definitely like having this level of fire here against these enemies, because it kills them quicker, and especially when you're fighting them laterally, you know, on the side. It doesn't, you see, they kind of bounce up and down. Well, they can, if you're in the wrong place, they can bounce over your fireballs, whereas these nice tall columns of fire prevent them from doing that, which is nice. Alrighty. Now, had I not gotten a slug homie in that room where I transmogrified the wizards, I would be killing those slugs in an attempt to farm for one. But I don't need to do that, which is nice. No greed necessary. Only generosity, like your donations toward random acts. Okay, here's that room again as we go down here. These are now slugs. Are they slug homies? Do we need just one. We don't need them all to be slug homies. We just need one. That's not it. Is this it? It is. Let's go. Beautiful. All right, the slug homies definitely came through here. There's Just gonna get this guy out of the way. Hopefully not take damage here. Good. Intentionally take damage here just to get through it quickly. Alright. And then we fight what my good friend Scala has dubbed kitty ghosts, because they kind of have those little whiskers on them. They do kind of look like little cat spirits. There is a block. Where is that block? There it is. I just couldn't get lined up with it for some reason. Alright, we could use the ring on these guys, but there's only 2 of them. And the room where we do want to use it is definitely more harrowing than this one. Alright, so this is Poverty Trinex. And what we're going to do is we're going to deliberately separate his heads from his body and continue to hit them such that as they... Because once they're separated from the body, they'll kind of bounce around the room like that DVD logo, and then they will try to return to the body after a certain point. Well, if we're standing in between the head and the body and continually bouncing it against the wall, we can just do mass amounts of damage to it for free. So, there we go. That one's done. Now, with that... with the completion of that dungeon and the segment of life that we get as a reward from it in addition to the medallion, we now have 12 segments of life, or more importantly, 12 full segments of life. This allows us to use something that we like to refer to as the good fire. It is this much faster rolling column of flame that does a hell of a lot more damage. Will move through enemies as opposed to being, you know, stopped by them when they hit. And we can use this to great effect throughout the rest of the speedrun, honestly. But here's the thing. I have exactly 12 segments of life. If I take any sort of damage at all whatsoever, I will lose that good fire until I either use a potion or get enough cherry, you know, the drops from enemies. Oh god, don't touch me. Thank you. Okay. To get those cherries to refill my life to where it needs to be. So this is our second shield upgrade. We've already gotten all of our armor upgrades, so that's done. In this next dungeon, we will get our second... we'll get our second sword upgrade in here. Burn our way out of here. Alright, the fact that I've gotten out of the fire shield area with the good fire still intact is definitely a positive. Oh god, don't touch me! Oh, thank you. That is not a guarantee for me. That section is very tricky to navigate, so... Oh my god, I don't know how I didn't get hit there. Alright. So we come into here. This is not the actual next crypt that we need to do. This is unique to the next crypt that we're going to be going into, where we have to come in here. We need to talk to this old man. He's chained up. He gives us some sort of warnings. And then, as soon as he's done yakking away, we get out of here. If you don't talk to this guy, then the entrance to the next dungeon will not appear. Now it is... Now that we have had this conversation, the entrance will have made itself apparent. It's the only dungeon that has that kind of mechanic to it. All the other ones you can kind of walk up to, and it's fine. So... Alright. We want these guys to get out of the way. We want to try to keep the good fire as long as possible through this next crypt here. Because it's going to make it a lot faster. Like this room in particular. We can just trash this wizard. Now, normally the wizard shots will block your fire, but not the good fire. So, we can essentially just square him up, light him on fire, and move on. Alrighty. You have nothing to give us, so we ignore you. Now these... Oh my god, I hate these things so freaking much, dude. So those things do not take damage from fire either. I would love to have had good fire for this room because it makes it so much faster, as I'm sure you can tell here. But alas, I had to just touch that guy ever so slightly. Now even one cherry won't rescue me. I would need two, and that's it's highly unlikely I would even get one. So asking for two at this point is likely not going to happen. All right. But that's okay. It just makes this room longer. And the next one. Okay, there we go. Alright, here's our second sword upgrade. Yeah, everybody come on down into the fire. Let's have a fire party. How does that sound? Come on. Come on, buddy. There you go. Alright, there's a block over here we need to push. Just gonna roast these little tadpoles here. There we go. Push. Hello? Hello? Push the block. Thank you. That was weird. Alright. Alrighty. Well, now we're going to walk over to the boss. Not a whole lot going on here. So again, this is a good opportunity to remind folks that if you put that donate command into chat, you get a link to make a donation toward Random Acts, which is what we're raising money for here during our 5th annual Feed the Kids Marathon. It is a Thanksgiving weekend tradition here for us at RGLtv, and we hope you'll continue to contribute to the cause. All right, so this is the crab boss. Let's see which way he goes. This is going to dictate how I kill him. Okay. Perfect. That was one more bomb than I needed to use. I dropped the first one a little early, but that's okay. I do have a tracker here to read your donations on air. We had one at the very beginning of the run from Steel Eyes, but would love to read off more. Alrighty. With the collection of that medallion, we now have access to the Sky Sphere. This is going to be the final sphere of the game, so 2 more dungeons left. And then we'll be all set. But before we really get into this sphere, we're just going to pop on over here. We're going to talk to Bonky Kong. He's going to give us the final... He's going to give us the final bomb upgrade. We now have 20. That is going to be plenty for the rest of the game, so we don't need to worry about bomb drops, collecting any of them from like treasure chests or anything like that. It's all good. Alrighty. So we're gonna... This is gonna be kind of a trek here. This would be a fantastic time to read a donation. Would love to have one to read. Hint, hint. You folks wanna... Oh, so there I demonstrated a technique I like to refer to as firewalking. While enemies are in their iframes from taking damage, you do not take damage from them. So what you can do is, if you're fighting any enemy that takes damage from the good fire, you can essentially just throw it out there and walk in the fire, and as long as you do that, you basically are invincible. You cannot be touched. And that's good. Alright. Goat Wizard, please. Okay. This screen is always fun. Oops. Might as well use this potion because we can. We're going to get a double refill here. We're going to need both of these. We're going to need at least one in this next crypt, possibly both. So we like to collect those. The treasure chest on the left would refill your bombs, but because we have all the bombs we need, it's not necessary to get it. So that's why collecting that bomb upgrade on the front end of what we're doing here is nice, because you can skip that treasure chest and save about, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds or so. So makes a difference. You know what else makes a difference? Your donations. Really does. Everything that is contributed goes directly toward Random Acts. 100% of it. We don't skim anything off the top. Okay, we're just gonna bump on through here. Oh, we just got one. $5 from Eris, who says, what does she say? Every little bit helps. Good luck, Vonnie. Thank you very much for that donation, Eris. Appreciate it. All right. So we use a potion here on the front end of this dungeon because it gives us the good fire back, and the good fire makes completing this part of the dungeon so much easier. If this guy would please just... I gotta have him die. Do I still have the good fire? I do. Okay. I have... But now my room for error here is gone. If I take any more damage... without picking up a cherry to offset it, then it is gone. It's especially important for these next few rooms coming up here. Oh, geez, don't touch me. Please die, bat. Thank you. And you die too. And stairs are right there. There we go. All right. This is the room where it's really important to have it, because these kind of bird spirit things can be very erratic, as you can see, and good fire's gone. Okay. Well, that's not so great. Not the worst thing in the world, but not the best thing either. All right. So we make a beeline to this item here. This is called the Bell of the Sky. It's actually a necessary item, even if you're playing the game casually. But for the speedrun, it is ridiculously useful, because every time you ring it, anytime there are doors that are shut, you ring the bell and they become open. The only exception is the door to the boss's room. You can't use the bell on that. That one still needs the key. Oh, good. Freeze you in place. Oh boy, that was close. I was gonna say, can I damage this guy, please? Thank you. Becky with the good fire. Alright, so we skipped this kind of freaky looking spider with a beak. I don't know what this is all about. Oh my god, go away, you're terrifying. Do you have anything to give me? No? Skip. Alright. Alrighty. Now we get to fight these skeleton enemies here. These guys are rather annoying because, A, they only take damage from your sword, much like the ghosts and the zombadillos. Whoops, no, I already have bombs on. But also, they move very fast and in a very erratic fashion as well. So, trying to pin them down for damage can be a bit challenging. Wow, I've taken a lot of damage here. That's going to make this room coming up not a whole lot of fun. Okay, good. There's some stairs to go in. Get you out of the way. Get our ring equipped for one more use. We got all these big bad enemies here, and now we have these little kind of like miserable, slimy enemies. That staircase that I came in is still active. I need to make sure I don't go into it, because if I do, then when I return to the room, the effects of the ring are gone. So it's not something you want to do accidentally. But in the dark, it's easy to do it. If you're not paying attention. Okay. All the enemies are dead. This is the door to the boss's room. We're going to pop a potion here, and we're going to do a very specific quick kill on him. Just like so. If you allow that boss to get loose, if you do not do that kill in that fashion, this boss is so difficult to deal with. That kind of big golden puma mask that he was in will... Oops, hello, pick it up, please. It will close, he will float around the room. He has just a ridiculous amount of HP. So just the endurance of fighting through that and just trying to get to it before... trying to kill him before he kills you is... it's not easy to do. There is a... It's kind of like a meme category of this game, and it's called No Fire Wand. You've seen me using the Fire Wand extensively throughout the game. But believe it or not, it is not a necessary item to have. The game can be completed without it. I have done it on a few occasions, but as you can imagine, fighting that boss without that Fire Wand to do that quick kill is very, very tricky to do. So... we pop down here for a couple of things. One of them, we're going to go to the left here. And bomb our way into here. That's too far away, is it? Oh, no, that was... Okay, that was close enough. Interesting. All right. So he is going to give us the third and final... optional life upgrade that we need to get. So that is done. Now we're gonna get the bell back on. Give it a ring here. And fly up to this little island in the sky. And here we pick up the strongest sword. So this is our final sword upgrade. The only thing we need to do now, as far as our arsenal goes, is get one more shield upgrade, which will be in the next dungeon, and then we will be completely decked out. In fact, I think that's the last permanent item that we need to get in order to satisfy the 100% condition. So getting the Bell of the Sky is necessary because this sword is the only weapon of any sort that will do damage to the final boss of the game. So, even if there were like a low percent category or whatever of this game, this sword would be required, as would the bell, the shoes, the rainbow drop, and that's basically it. Nope, no. I would like to have the good fire for one room in particular in this next dungeon that's coming up. If I don't have it, it's not the end of the world, but it is nice to have, certainly. Alrighty. Whether or not we keep it can be dictated by this room. I don't like that thing. Oh, okay, good. Whew. That was close. We can walk right by these guys without any worry. Hopefully we can get through here without all these dragons popping out and getting me. Good. Okay. Oh, do I still have it? I do not. That really sucks. Okay. That's good. Murder. more murder. Push that, and push that. Now, what you didn't really, unless you were watching very closely, I actually used the Moonbeam Moss in the room, in this little hallway prior to this. And that lit up that room, which would otherwise be dark. The reason why I do that is because I can. Having to push those 3 blocks in that specific position and that specific order is not easy to do in the dark. So, we use it there because we can. We refer to that use of the bell there while we're on the bridge as the Scala Bridge, who is... Scala Kitty is a good friend of mine who is a big fan of this speedrun. There we go. And so we give her the shout out when we can. Alright, these guys cheer me on. I slap him. That is not necessary. It's just something I like to do. Here comes the bullet hell portion of the game. This is also our strongest shield. The unfortunate thing about collecting the shield when we do is that the shots that it would block that our other previous shield would not, we don't see any more of those projectiles for the rest of the run. So as far as any benefit from getting this shield, there's, as far as the speedrun goes, there is exactly 0. Alright. Final stretch here of this dungeon, and it is the bell's time to shine, or chime, such as the case may be. We use it on this door here, we use it on this door here. 3 in a row. Open this one up. Unfortunately, we can't use it on this door in here because this is the boss's door. Now, the power of the strongest sword is going to be on full display here. I'm going to let him do his thing. Let's take a boost and go 1, 2, 3, and he's done. There we go. Easy as that. Alrighty. So that is the 8th and final medallion that we needed to collect. We do need to listen to what the Temple Mother here has to say. See, as you can see now, and you see where my life bar is. If I were to get another one, it doesn't like break into the side of the frame that it's in. It just would give you nothing. Here we go. All right. So this is the final boss. This is Dearth. Now we've got a very particular way of fighting him, and I'll explain it when I'm done. I want you to listen to the music because it's so fantastic. Alrighty, there we go. Dearth has been defeated. There's Princess Aurora. She's very happy to see us. And we can take her back to Neutopia and everybody can be happy. Time is going to be at the end of the final, kind of cutscene before it gets to the ending. Because it is possible to double KO on that boss, and this prevents that from being a thing. Alrighty. So here we go, and time. Alright. Oh, 53. Okay, not bad. Not too bad, honestly. So, yep. So there we go. That is Neutopia, the 100% category. Completed in 53 minutes and 12 seconds. And yeah, oh, anyway, so note on that final boss. So that boss can actually appear in one of 6 different places. There's left above you, either left, center, right, or below you, left, center, right. As long as you don't move it all from side to side, that boss will always appear either directly above you and below you, and it will alternate. So it starts above and then below, and then it just keeps alternating between the two until you do 32 hits on him. with the strongest sword, and then he's dead. So 5 cycles is ideal. That's what we got. So so a decent boss fight, I would say. Yo, thank you all very, very much for the GGs. I see plenty of those there in chat. Yeah. Well, coming up next is going to be me again with another fun little top-down action RPG adventure game, and this will be this one is going to be pretty fun to go through, and there'll be a lot to explain here. So give me just a minute while I get that set up. Everybody enjoy the music I'm going to put on, and while we are getting set up, please don't go anywhere.